What's up, everybody? How's it going? This is NorbCam coming at you on this Wednesday hump day. A little bit of breaking news for you. So I'm trying to do this without getting into a car accident. Don't do this at home, kids. Seahawks have just signed longtime running back Adrian Peterson. I think right now to the practice squad. Question is, will he be actually potentially utilized and active against the Niners on Sunday? Don't know about that. We'll see what kind of moves they make. But he is on the team at this moment. I came in for a free agent visit. Peterson, as you may have known, he's been playing for a long time. Since like 2000, when he started with the Vikings, like 2009. He played, or was it late 2000s? Played for 9 years, I think, with the Vikings. They bounced around quite a bit. Played with the Saints for a while. Played with the Cardinals for a while. Played with the Redskins at the time, and then most recently played with the Titans this year, and was recently released. And Seahawks had picked him up. I guess it kind of makes some sense given the fact that we have barely any healthy running backs on the squad right now. Chris Carson out for the year with the neck surgery, spine surgery. Rashad Penny, I don't know if he's done for the year, but he's definitely been not reliable whatsoever. Then we've got, of course, Travis Homer, who's been struggling, missed the last game. Alex Collins, who's been there. I don't know how effective he's been because he has been dealing with, he had a groin injury for a while. He was dealing with a abdomen issue. He played against the Washington football team. Didn't do so great. Most of his runs, he was stifled at the line of scrimmage. One of his best plays was actually when they swung the ball out of the backfield to him on the left sideline, and then he went down, bumbling down the left sideline. Looked like we were going to get into a good scoring potential position, and then got the ball knocked out of his arms, fumble, turnover back to Washington. It's just been that kind of a year. But Adrian Peterson, what can we expect from him? Well, I think one thing that's kind of interesting is he is something like 367 yards away from breaking, I think, Barry Sanders' yardage record. So he's got an accolade coming up soon. With the Seahawks, potentially. Could he break that? 367 yards? I don't know. It depends on how many yards he could actually amass. The way we're going right now, we are not been doing a very good job running the ball, and we only have 6 games left. So it could be something worth of interest in a game in the season where there's not much to look forward to as we crawl to the end. That could be interesting if he is in the backfield, active and carrying the ball on a regular basis for Seattle in the next few games. What difference does it make in a season where technically, mathematically, we haven't actually been eliminated from the playoffs yet, but obviously the chances of that actually happening are extremely low. I think we're like 1% chance of making the playoffs, but why are we even talking about playoffs? Why even waste our breath on it? At this point, I just keep saying I'm just looking for our Seahawks team to make some improvements on what we have been struggling with so far. Just, if for nothing else, just to see if we can make some tweaks to both the offense and the defense in preparation for next year. Because, I mean, if we're not playing for the playoffs, we can at least start thinking about what can we do to, see what foundationally what we could build on for next year. Now, obviously, we don't know. There could be major changes, or it could be not as major changes that people are thinking about. And, do we know, will Coach Pete Carroll be here next year? Will offensive coordinator be here next year? Will Russell Wilson be here next year? So many questions, but right now, at this point, everybody's technically under contract. So no one's leaving unless somebody gets fired or traded ahead of schedule. So what does that mean? It means that well, let's at least try to make it work for what we got, and let's see if we can start fixing a few of these things that have been broken. I'd like to see, against this 49er team who, right now, I mean, I picked the 49ers to win this game even before the season started, before all this stuff went down so terribly. But for us to have at least a shot in this game, I'd like to see just something different. We know how to mix it up. Seattle's very predictable right now, especially on offense. They've just been, you try to run the ball on first down, go nowhere. Second down, try to run again, or throw, and then it's incomplete, and then it's third and long, and then it's just a struggle. I'd like to see some, runs on, some passes on first down, a little play action, maybe a little trick plays, just some stuff that they're not used to seeing. I feel like everybody's seen the tape on us, and it's just the same movie every time, and they just kind of go, okay, well, we know how to stop them. Everybody else has been doing it. 49ers know us better as much as any other team out there, and they are on fire right now. They do have some critical injuries. Deebo Samuel, who has been carrying the load for them recently, is I believe is going to be out, as well as Fred Warner, who's one of the best defensive players. He's going to be out. But I've skipped trying to think that just because another team has injuries is going to help us do better, because we've faced plenty of teams now who've been missing superstars, and it hasn't seemed to change things. Because we got to change us and not keep things the same and be the same predictable blueprint that we've been following. But definitely got to do a little shout out to some things that were on the positive side, and I hope you guys will join me. I'm doing a little bit of a preview of some of the things that we'll talk about when I do the dive in with Dovin at 3:30 Pacific time, 6:30 Eastern time, which is about an hour to get back in time so I can make my show. But since the breaking news happened, I had to just do a quick video about it. But hats off to special teams, to the Michael Dixon, who has been just carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, doing a great job. Had a no-look punt where I thought he shanked it, and he actually did a look this direction, throw off the receiver, the punt returner, and kick it this way, no look, and completely had him fooled. It was an amazing play that I thought was actually a mistake. Alina, fabulous moderator, says, do you think AP will help, calm DK down? By the way, it was in your area last week after the doctor for an oil change, then I'm out to Homa to visit Nana and Granddad. Oh, in the neighborhood. That's awesome. Herman the Great asks, why Adrian Peterson? Makes zero sense. They've got running back, was it Josh Johnson? They could have, I think they'd promoted him from the practice squad, and you could have put him in, but who knows? Obviously he's past his prime, but he is kind of a name that gets some excitement. And look at it from this standpoint. Obviously they're trying to, they do need to bring some running back depth here. There's not much to get excited about right now, so even bringing in a name like Adrian Peterson just kind of gets you a little bit like, oh, I remember him. He was a great running back in the day. There's always that little name cachet that sort of adds to some of the intrigue of, getting people to come watch the game or go to the stands and watch the game. So there could be a little bit of that, but will he make a big impact? We're about to find out. It could be very well that it's not the running backs carrying the ball, it's just simply our offensive line not blocking for them. Or we get something, watch Adrian Peterson come in here and suddenly he's running for 5 yards here, there, 7 yards here, and just busting through the holes and go, wow, I guess our offensive line's not that bad. Maybe it has something to do with the running backs. We'll see. I kind of think that's wishful thinking, but I think what he brings to it could be like Alina says. Maybe it's more intangible. Maybe it's by having a potential leader, someone who everybody will look in the locker room and kind of think, wow, this guy's a legend. He might have some intangibles, the type of stuff that his just presence in the locker room could help bring some stability and maybe some calmness and some inspiration to a team that desperately needs leaders to step up right now. And you would think the leaders would be Russell Wilson and Bobby Wagner, because they're the two longest tenured Seahawks who've been there since the days before the Super Bowl, and I think are one of the two last few remaining since then. But Bobby's a quiet leader. Russell does a lot of talking. You hear him all the time on the sidelines, but sometimes I wonder do people still hear his words? Do they still connect with him? So there's always been that appearance that sometimes players, at least in the past, have said Russell Wilson feels like he's like a company guy. He's not one of us. And so maybe they don't have the same, connection with him like they did with a Marshawn Lynch or a Richard Sherman or Cam Chancellor. So we'll see what kind of impact Adrian Peterson will have on this. But it'll be, anytime it's something new, like I said, just to change it up, see something new, will he bring something fun, something different, just something new to shake things up? We got to have something to keep things fresh. But we'll see. It's a tough time right now. It's a tough time being a Seahawks fan. Definitely, I'm looking at my social media threads, and I put a little post out there because I'm going to do an unboxing. They finally, Seahawks sent out the season ticket holders gift that normally gets sent out before the season starts, back in like June or July. We didn't get it till November, almost December practically. I think it was in my mailbox yesterday, so technically November. But very late. It kind of feels a little bit anticlimactic now that the season's pretty much almost lost to get this little thing. And I haven't opened it yet. I know what it is because I've seen other people show it, but some people haven't received theirs yet. But man, when I put down in there my post, which was, have any of you season ticket holders received your 2021 gift yet? There was a lot of, you can imagine the open-ended question that I threw out there, getting a lot of interesting responses, a lot of cynical, a lot of negative comments about it. And it goes with what happens when you're not winning. So we'll see. It's going to be a test to see how far people jump off the bandwagon and who the diehard fans are who's going to stick with this team. Oh, Brendan, my buddy Brendan, best dancer on the planet. He says, rough season, may have to see what we can get for Russ for this upcoming draft. Bummer, go Hawks. I know that Brendan, I saw a little bit of his rant about saying that he's done with Russell Wilson. I know there's a lot of people on the get rid of Russell Wilson camp. There's a lot of people on the fire Pete Carroll camp, and there's a lot of people at the fire them all camp. And then there's a few who are on the, well, maybe we don't need to fire anybody camp. And that it's not, the solution isn't about firing somebody. In a world where firing seems to be the short-term, immediate gratification world we live in right now, is pretty much, if you're not happy with what you got, get rid of the thing that you don't like and make a change. Just delete it, move on. You're fired. Don't like my spouse, divorce. But there's something to be said about sticking things out and working through things. Again, how long have we had a bad season for? This offense has technically been struggling for about a year, if you count it from the halfway point of last year to where we are now. It's been about a year. It hasn't even been really a full season, because it was half of last season and then a little over half of this season. It's been pretty good otherwise. So, do you bail on everything when just one year you have clearly a very bad year, you have one really bad year and it's time to clean house? That's a very quick, immediate bail out on what you've had at a point when you've never really had it bad. You have one speed bump and ready to dump it all. But the question is, how do you fix it? And that's the mystery. I've definitely got some ideas. I've been throwing those ideas out, like, hey, why don't we try this? And you do this and do that. And yet the execution of that has not been happening. That's the frustrating part about it. But something definitely has to change, but it doesn't necessarily mean the change requires cleaning house or firing everybody or key parts. There's something to be said about you can work your way through a change, and sometimes you just need that time. Mike Evans, he's with the trade Wilson as well. It says trade Wilson for Fields, Boron, Johnson, 3 number 1s. It's Austin 7 says we have the players. We have the players. It's a lot of things there, but something to keep in mind before I wrap this up, because I got to run a couple more errands before I get back for the show at 3:30. Pete Carroll answers to only Jody Allen, the owner. So if he's going to be dumped it's going to require the owner herself saying, I'm going to end this the renewed contract that we just extended right now. We're going to do it now and cut it off from what was supposed to be like another 4 years, 5 years. It's a long extension. So she would have to make that hard decision to do that, number one. And then number two is the Russell Wilson thing. Do I think, with Pete in charge, do I think he would want to trade Russell Wilson in the middle of the final years of his time here in Seattle? I don't think so. Why would Pete Carroll want to start anew, try to find the next new quarterback, basically rebuild in his final years, when you've got a guy who's done it already? Yes, has been struggling recently, but you've been there before. You've been through thick and thin. You've won a Super Bowl. You've been to another, won multiple playoff games. Is it not fixable? That's the big question. Is it past the point of not being fixed, or is it something that it's just going to take bringing in the right people? Is it just a coordinator issue? What is the issue? And that's the big mystery. Or has Pete really lost the team and there's no coming back from that? Andrew Martinez says we need to clean house. A lot of people feeling that way. So, obviously, we have no say in it. It's not up to us. We can have our opinions. Ultimately, they will decide as a team. But the final other factor into this is Russell Wilson. What does Russell Wilson have going on in his mind and in his home camp? Do they want to stay and work it out? Does he feel like he's still got a future here and it's just a matter of fixing and adjusting things? Or is in his mind, is he already gone? If that's the case, then there is no trying to make it work. I mean, it means that it could be the end of the season and he's going to force his way out, even though he's technically got a couple of years left. Lando says Russell is the only good player. I wouldn't say that, but he definitely is one of the most important players, because your quarterback, pretty much, as we've seen, you live and die with what the quarterback can do, and he's not been doing very well. But does it warrant a get out of town and never come back response? That's the question. But if Russell Wilson has decided in his mind, when this season's over, I'm not coming back here and I'm gone, then unless you can sweet talk him from doing so, then the team would be forced to make it work with some kind of a trade. Then the contract becomes irrelevant if he really truly wants out. But nobody knows that except Russell and his agent, and who knows, maybe his agent doesn't know. Maybe it really is just Russell, maybe his wife, but ultimately Russell has to make that decision where he wants to be. And nobody knows that but him. Obviously, last year's off-season drama brought a lot of questions, a lot of people thinking he's already hinting that he wants his way out. But some people alluded to, I think he's intentionally playing bad so he can get out of here. It's like, well, he doesn't need to play bad. If he really wants out, he can get himself out. But Russell's doesn't have to. It doesn't no good to play poorly so he can get out of Seattle. It really makes no sense. It's a lose-lose situation, because if he plays poorly, his stock value goes down, and less teams will be inclined to want to get him if they feel like he's not as good as he was before, right? What does he gain by making himself look bad? He doesn't have to do that. It's ridiculous if people think that that's what he's doing. He's throwing the games on purpose, that he's actually trying to lose because somehow this makes him able to get out of his deal. I just don't buy it. It makes no sense. It makes no logic to me. Plus, I don't think it's in his makeup. I don't think Russell's the kind of guy who would try to intentionally lose a game, or not put his effort in. I don't think it's a lack of effort at all on anybody's part of this team. I mean, I feel like I'm seeing the effort. What I'm not seeing is, it's just that right combination of putting guys in the right place, especially on the offensive side. The one place you have control over, and in defense you do have a certain amount of control, but on offense you completely control what's going to happen from the start of the snap. And I've had my thoughts, expressed many times about what I think Seattle should do, and they haven't done it. But questions arise like, why did Russell not throw the ball to DK? Was he really that covered, or did he not see it? But really, just think about this in terms of those who are just in the feeling like this is broken and we need to fix this by firing everybody or whatever. But the main thing is, when you think about the frustration with the offense and what's happening, there's three people mostly involved. There's Russell. There's the offensive coordinator, there's Pete Carroll, and there's Russell Wilson. The normal flow would be you have Shane Waldron calling a play. Okay, we're going to run this mesh concept, blah, blah, blah. And then Pete is just either just listening, going with it, or he overrides it. Says, no, I want to run the ball here. Or he doesn't say a word, and it goes to Russell. And then Russell takes the play. And he's got his headset on. He can't talk back, so he's not going to say, no, I don't like that idea. He's just going to listen, and he's going to take it. He'll call the play in the huddle, and then he's got the play that Waldron called out, unless Pete overrode it. And then he goes to the line of scrimmage, and one of three things happens. One, he runs the play, and we see how it plays out. Number two, he audibles out of that play, says, I don't like it. This defense is a different alignment. I don't think it's going to work. I'm going to kill. We're going to do a run here. We're going to do a pass to this play and this play instead. So that could be that. Or number three, he runs the play, or if it's the case of passing play, but he doesn't throw to the primary target. He throws to a different receiver, goes deep instead of hitting the guy who's underneath, or if that was the original design. And then we see whatever the result is. So many things can change what was supposed to be the original play, and then the end result is just what we see. But we don't know who really was that play called from the beginning, or did it get manipulated and changed until to the point to what the result we saw was just what we thought the play was. And oh, Shane Waldron, what the hell are you doing? But maybe Shane Waldron never had that plan. So that's kind of what we end up seeing in terms of on offense. And of course, no one's going to say who's calling the plays, who's overriding it, and only a handful of people know what's really going on behind the scenes. We can only speculate, but that's the potential that could happen. But offensively, that's the problem. That's obviously the problem that needs to get fixed. And no easy solution. You can't just plant a new offensive line. You can't just create one from scratch. You can't solve it overnight. But I keep saying, between Russell, the weapons he's got, the tight ends that he's got, running back, we're a little bit hurting there, of course, but you think you'd have enough weapons that you can make a passing game work. But you've got to play to your strengths, and not, one of the strengths is not our pass protection. So anyway, so that's kind of where we're at. We're going to dive into this more on the Dive In with Dovin in about 50 minutes from now. So I will talk to you guys then. Looking forward to our little chat, see where that goes. But for now, Adrian Peterson, a Seahawk. Who saw that coming? We'll see what kind of impact that has this weekend. Until the next time we talk again, which is very soon, take care. Go Hawks.